day. Welcome to Music Motors and welcome to my farewell episode with the 2020 Mercedes-Benz X350d. The X-Class is leaving us and for the foreseeable future it's really not coming back. This is the 350d, obviously, so it's powered by a 3-litre turbo V6 diesel. That produces 258 horsepower, 550 Newton meters of torque, tops out about 130 miles an hour, and we'll get to 62 in 7.9 or faster, depending how much weight you've got in the back of this, basically. And the X-Class always got a bit of flack because people just constantly related to it as a Navara. They said it's a tarted up Navara, but people really didn't do their research to find out just how different it was. So in this episode of Music Motors, I say farewell to my pretty much favourite monster pickup truck and put it through the final musician tests that I can. Outside, the X-Class has always been pretty good looking for me. The Navara is by no means a bad looking truck, but Mercedes have taken this platform and refined it. Now, whilst there are similarities, within reason, almost every exterior panel has been changed. You do see like the same door handles, you'll see the same antenna, but from the outside, really, those are the two big bits that cross over. Aside from that, it is significantly different. The front end looks masculine, yet not too overpowering. It looks like a trustworthy pickup truck, and depending what alloys you put on it, it can look really super premium and luxurious, or it can look like a monster ute, which I think this one does. This one's finished in diamond silver metallic, almost a bluey colour, but it's a really lovely bluey colour. A nice colour that doesn't show dirt too much, because to be fair, I've been driving this quite a few miles on quite a lot of back roads and it is covered in dirt, but it doesn't really look like it. These are the standard alloys that come with the 3-litre, and they do look pretty blooming good. You can option some multi-spoke alloys. Now those are my favourite. They really do look the bee's knees, but by no means are these ugly. Side profile wise, that's where I guess the similarities between the Navara and the X-Class are there, because the chassis wise, that's what they're sharing. They're sharing the platform. And so from a side profile, it does look a bit like a Navara, and I'm not going to lie, but it is equally a little bit different. It is unique in its own ways, has different lines, and when you come to the back again, it then totally changes. It looks entirely premium, and for the cost, premium. Where the Navara just looks like a working man's truck, this looks like a working man's truck that can do everything lifestyle as well. Outside, generally, I found the X-Class was always a fantastic looking truck. It was my favourite looking pickup truck on the market, but to be fair, there are some new contenders. You're looking at like the Ranger Raptor and the new L200. They are both great looking trucks, but this is a proper pickup truck to me. Takes lots of weight, has a big engine, sports truck almost. It looks amazing, and I'm going to miss the exterior looks. It's gig test time, and really the gig test comprises of a few essential things, which is how much can it take, how far can it go on the fuel it's got, and how comfortable is it doing everything. So I'm putting all of the equipment for the band, for the most part, in the back. I am driving a considerable distance and seeing just what fuel economy I get, and I'm seeing just how comfortable this is on longer runs on everyday life. Let's go. Okay, I've arrived, and with all the equipment in the back, with all the type of driving I've done, 34 miles to the gallon so far. Really impressed by that. Very comfortable. Now it's on to the gig, and then to load everything back in. Fortunately, with it not being a massively high load height, it's pretty easy to deal with. had to leave the wrap up, the summary, till the next day because I got in at like 3:45 in the morning after the gig running late, loading out taking ages, the long drive back, and then halfway on the drive back stumbling onto an accident where a drunk driver just decided to leave the scene of the accident and had to deal with some of that. When I got back, what I found is that when I checked the trip computer, I'd achieved 32.2 miles per gallon average throughout the entire day. Now, bear in mind that for the most part of it, there was a lot of weight in the back. Bear in mind that for a lot of it, it was a fluctuation of motorways, A roads, B roads. It was a real mix of driving scenarios. So that fuel economy was really good, considering on paper, that's like a best case scenario. What you find is, almost regardless of the weight you put in the back, and within reason what you're going to be towing, it's such a torquey and powerful engine that it doesn't really struggle when it comes to having that extra load. As a result, putting weight in and driving at reasonable speeds, fuel economy doesn't really get that affected. From an interior point of view, it is very comfortable, and driving long distances is very easy. I didn't find myself tired at any point, even though when I got in it was silly o'clock in the morning. I myself wasn't tired, and that's because it was so easy to drive. From a gig test point of view, this really does excel. The only thing it ever misses for me, and I've said it since day one, is Apple CarPlay, but that's it. Inside is where Mercedes really do have it over the competition. A lot of industrial trucks, a lot of commercial pickup trucks don't have interiors that are all that exciting. They're robust, they're hard wearing, and they're relatively comfortable, but they're not packed with technology. They're not luxurious, and that's where Mercedes said, no, we can do that. We can make, even though there are some switchgear crossovers with Nissan, we can make the rest of it look really premium, and that's exactly what they've done, especially if you option in command and navigation. Whilst it is an expensive option, it's about £2,000, it suddenly brings the whole interior together. You then feel this like quality as soon as you get in. The seats are very comfortable, there's implied leather stitching, and whilst it is Artico leather, it doesn't shout cheap at any point. The whole interior is really lovely and put together very well. Standard sound system, good. Climate control, easy to use. Everything's at your fingertips. Your rear seat passengers get a good amount of space, and there's ISOFIX back there, so that continues with my everyday truck because it can have baby seats back there. It's a family truck, it's a lifestyle truck, and really from an interior point of view, it has always been and will remain until someone really steps up the game to be my favourite interior, because you get in this and you might as well be stepping into a C or an E-Class because of how well put together and luxurious it is.
Buying a pickup truck, fuel economy isn't probably of the utmost importance to you, but it's something that you definitely consider. I do a multitude of tests. This is my city test. This won't be a heavy traffic city test, but it is all going to be 30-40 mile an hour stints, seeing how this does on city driving, because realistically jobs will take you into cities. This has to be able to deal with city lifestyle, and it'd just be interesting to see what fuel economy a V6 monster can turn around. At the end of that, it was a really surprising result. I was expecting mid-20s because realistically, everyday driving, that's what you see. But if you don't get caught in traffic around town, this turned 31 miles to the gallon. It's a fuel economy figure which just seems unheard of in a vehicle of this size with an engine of this size, but yet somehow it achieved it with total ease. Whilst I was in economy mode, I was driving totally normally. The only difference was I didn't hit too many red lights, so this was able to keep its momentum. Really surprising. And when it comes to the city life itself, the lock is good, visibility is good, the seats are comfortable, and you really couldn't ask for much more from a vehicle, a commercial vehicle like this. It totally blitzed that economy test.
Performance wise, obviously powered by a 3 litre turbocharged V6 diesel engine, so 258 horsepower, 550 newton meters of torque, 0 to 62 in about 7.9 seconds, but I have timed it faster than this. And it will top out at about 130 miles an hour, so pretty good going for a vehicle of this size. The other thing is that it doesn't feel big. It is a big vehicle, there's no questioning that. Pickup trucks are large. The task really is to make a pickup truck not feel huge, whilst also allowing you to not feel totally disconnected to the extent you end up whacking your wheels everywhere. You can feel the width of the vehicle, and it is a wide vehicle, but by no means does it seem too big. It's a really, really good sized vehicle. So from that driving perspective, it then continues over from not feeling big to handling like a vehicle considerably lighter. Bearing in mind, if you put an entire load in the back of this, it can have a total combined weight of 3.3 tons. Whilst not the 3.5 of some competitor vehicles, it means you can do stuff like this and put your foot down very, very easily. And it responds just like a car. On back roads, when you're going around twisty corners, whilst there is a limit of grip, it's quite sporting, it's quite fun. Now the brakes are a little bit spongy, but they are powerful. It's just not instant response like you would see in a conventional car, just because, well, this isn't a conventional car and it's made to take a lot more weight, and it weighs a lot more as standard as well. I found myself really enjoying acceleration and really enjoying driving this in almost any situation because of how it felt, because of how it accelerated. And Mercedes just totally excelled with that. This doesn't drive anything like the Navara. The Navara drives well, and there's no question to that, and as does the new L200 and the Ranger Raptor. But this has a different type of user engagement, which I really appreciate. It means that after the working week and you take the family out in this, you can have some fun. You really, really can. And being 4MATIC, it means that you're pretty safe unless you're really, really silly. Now, economy-wise, Mercedes-Benz claim that realistically you should see about 20 around town and up to about 35 on a run, 33 to 35 on a run. Now, WLTP claim considerably lower figures. WLTP is wrong. I've put an article out on Drive Tribe about that, but WLTP doesn't work for all vehicle types and for all driving types, because I'll average right now 24.1 to the gallon just around town. And bearing in mind, I'd started and it was sat at around 23, 24 from just doing town runs before. And on the motorway, you can quite easily turn 35, 36 miles to the gallon. It's really impressive. WLTP think that you will see no more than 30 to the gallon out of a truck like this, which is a little unfair. And effectively, that's what killed it off. Aside from the fact that Mercedes weren't able to break their key markets for a multitude of reasons, things like that were the final, the final blow that killed it. Economy-wise, I never struggled with it, and really, it just surprised me all the time. Driving, doing tip runs constantly over and over again, and seeing an average of about 23, 24 miles to the gallon, and literally it's like a mile and a half there and a mile and a half back. Lots of stopping, lots of accelerating, and weight in the back in one direction. And then taking it onto a gig test where I had a huge amount of weight, an average well over 30. It's just hugely impressive. From the outside, I love it. From the inside, you couldn't ask for more. And from an engine, an economy and a drivetrain and a feel point of view, it's the most car-like pickup truck with power, within reason, I think, on sale. But take that back, it's not on sale anymore. As of March 2020, it's not on sale. You can't buy this truck anymore new. You can buy it used though. But that's really sad to me, because I love this truck. I've always thought it was amazing, but it never got the admiration and positive reviews as some competitor vehicles like the Amarok V6. The Amarok is an amazing truck, but I think this is just a level above it. However, perhaps the price was too much, and maybe perhaps people were just too swayed by the fact that they thought it was a tarted up Nissan Navara. People didn't understand what the X-Class was totally, which definitely didn't help. I'm going to miss this truck in a big way. It's my favourite pickup truck of this size, of this type of calibre. And while smaller, the L200 is great by its own means, It's not a quick truck. This gives you sporting credentials almost. I really wanted to take it on a track day, but coronavirus said no. Say farewell to the X-Class for now then, whilst it may be back in a few years' time, perhaps fully electric, taking that e-Vito drivetrain, because that would be quite easy to put underneath. For here and now, we bid the X-Class farewell.